All right, we got big prophecy news today. We are going to be talking about the Turkey earthquake situation. Okay. Now, for most people who have been hearing about this, you guys seriously need to watch this video specifically because we're going to be going into literally everything. We're going to go down one of the deepest rabbit holes that I have personally put forth on this channel. Last week we did, we covered the Balenciaga scams, stuff like that, family, but we're actually going to be discussing the Turkey earthquake situation. Okay. We're going to be discussing why this specifically has to do with the Euphrates River drying up in Revelation 17. Okay. There is a major connection, and I have information about exactly what is going on in this region. So make sure to stay tuned to the end, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Let's get a couple comments rolling. Let's wait for some people to join, and then we're going to go ahead and get started. So John says, let's all order Taco Bell. Yes, sir. I've never really been a big Taco Bell guy. I don't know. Are you guys into that? Chalupas and stuff? Bride says, hey, beautiful family. We're waiting for a couple people to get in, and then we're going to get into the news today. Highly prophetic news. What's going on, people? We got Bethlehem in the house. The prophecy of Matthew 24. We're going to get into Matthew 24, okay? This is big stuff. So we got some of our main family in here. Let's go ahead and get into it. So the Turkey earthquake situation, okay? This is really sad. So we look at this, all right? I mean, it's honestly just devastating news, okay? This is one of the biggest earthquake events we've had with the most deaths going into, honestly, probably the past 5 or 6 years. I personally can't remember a time. Actually, let me unmute this. I can't remember a time when we've had an earthquake event this bad. Okay. There is an estimated 5,400 people in Turkey who have been declared dead. Okay. 1,700 in Syria. So this didn't just happen in Turkey. This actually happened in Syria as well, which is really sad because Syria has been just a complete mess. Honestly, it's really sad. So yeah, the death toll keeps rising every single day. Currently, in total, there's 7,100 people dead in Turkey and in Syria. Okay. Now, when I was looking at this the other night, we were looking at maybe a couple thousand deaths. I thought it was just going to be some sort of earthquake, but this is turning into something really huge. They are expecting 15,000 to 20,000 people to be dead in the coming weeks. That is humongous. Okay. So, and that is why I wanted to give you guys an update on this because there's so much going on behind the scenes that I really want to share with you guys. So yeah, death toll keeps rising. We have so many horrific accounts. This guy said there's people found under the rubble. The worse the chances for survival get. Okay. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan will visit the earthquake zone tomorrow, the Turkish news agency reported. Mr. Erdogan said he will tour the area in a call offering condolences to the family of a member of parliament from Erdogan's ruling justice. Okay, so really big. They even have the president going out. This is a huge humanitarian crisis. Now, here's where it starts to get crazy. Okay, this is where we're going to start making the connections. I want you guys to look where this earthquake hit. So this is a map of Turkey. Let me get a quick drink before I start dropping bombs. What's up, y'all? Robert says Surah 6. Okay. So look at where we're at. This is in eastern Turkey. The main area where the earthquake hit was in this eastern zone, okay, in this southern eastern zone where these big cities are. Now I want to ask you this question. Where is the Euphrates River located? This is one of the shocking revelations I have. So hopefully I can zoom this in for you just a little bit more. Looks like I actually can't. But again, we see that there was a 7.8 magnitude initial quake near the city of Gaziantep, which is eastern Turkey. There was also a 7.5 magnitude second quake. Okay. This went into Syria. This went into northern Turkey, but it was mainly in this eastern strip. Now, I want you guys to take a look at this map right here. I'm going to share this with you. This is the map of the Euphrates River. Hopefully you guys can see this. If you look, the Euphrates River flows eastward and westward from Iraq into Syria. Now, here's the interesting part, guys, is that the Euphrates River actually starts in the north of Turkey, or sorry, in the northeast of Turkey. So the riverhead right here, if you guys can see this, look at the top of the riverhead. I'll give you some of the names. It's the Karasu River. It's also the Murat River. Okay. And the Euphrates River goes right into this city known as Gaziantep. Hopefully, I'm saying that correctly. This is exactly where the earthquake hit. This is exactly where the earthquake epicenter was. Okay, let's look back at this map. This is exactly where the Euphrates is at. I mean, this is honestly crazy, y'all, and it gets even crazier because or actually, let me not get ahead of myself. I don't want to give you guys all the information at once. I want this to be a slow burn so that you guys can really see what's going on. So, but yeah, so that's mainly what you need to know is that the epicenter of this earthquake was in this city right alongside the Euphrates River. Now let's look at some of the damage that these earthquakes had before we move into more of the shocking revelations. So again, I mean, just absolutely terrible. There's buildings absolutely crumbled. These are major cities, okay? These are major cities within the eastern provinces of Turkey. Just horrible, guys. I mean, I couldn't even imagine this happening in my own hometown. Just imagine, you're going to work one day, come out, all of a sudden there's like 4 different earthquakes that are 8.0 magnitude. You know what I mean? It's just terrible. And there's all these refugees that are coming out of this crisis, getting pulled out in stretchers and wheelchairs. So while we're doing this, I want you guys to really be praying for the Turkish people as we begin to expose kind of more of the sinister elements of this. Okay, because these are real people who are really suffering. But we're going to go into why I think, before we do the Euphrates River aspect, or actually after that, I'm going to go into why I think this happened. I honestly believe this is a warning from God about what is about to take place in this region. Okay, because to those of you guys who follow my channel, we know that this region is the land of Magog. And I'm going to make this case a little bit later for those who don't understand this. But Gog of the land of Magog is going to be the chief prince of this region. He's going to come out with all of his hordes in this last day's invasion. And this coincidentally happened 5 months before the presidential election of Erdogan. So we're going to get into this. Now, real quick, let's see what you guys have to say. So Tinky Talk, one of my members, says, "This is surreal. The Bible is slowly coming to life. There's nothing we can do, for all of this has been prophesied." Amen. And there actually is something we can do. We can be praying for the Turkish people. We can be praying for our families to be kept safe in this time, because it's getting worse every single day. We need to keep in our daily prayers. Amen. So, for those who are just joining the live stream, I've just shown how this earthquake right here, let's pull this up again, happened in the eastern province of Turkey in the city of Gaziantep, if I'm saying that correctly. And this is right alongside the Euphrates River. Okay, let me pull this map back up again. This is where the Euphrates River flows directly into, is in this area. So now as we move on, I want you guys to see exactly what happened with this quake, because it's actually multiple quakes, excuse me. So we look at the seismometer, I think that's what it's called. Y'all, I'm totally butchering the names right now. Somebody tell me what a seismometer is, because it's probably doesn't even exist. So anyway, we look at this. Okay, so we have basically the main sources of the earthquakes that took place. I promise this will make sense in just 2 seconds. So look at this right here. Okay, this is what I wanted to share with you guys. So when we look at these earthquakes, this is the total amount of earthquakes that happened in the past 3 to 4 days. Okay, we look at the top one, this dark red one over here. This is a 2 or a 7.5. Okay, let me get this up. So this happened in southern Turkey. This happened on February 6th, 2023. So this happened about a day and 3 hours ago. Okay. Then there was a 6.7 that happened in that city right alongside the Euphrates River, February 6th. So we actually have 7. I want you guys to listen to this. 7. I think I'm reading this right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's actually 9 earthquakes that happened yesterday that were above 5.5 on the Richter scale. Think about that, y'all. That is ridiculous. That is like imagine that happening in New York City, how much destruction and devastation that would cause. This is one of the worst earthquake activities we've seen in a very long time. Now, not to beat a dead horse, but the last major natural disaster that happened within Turkish history was actually this happened in 1934. That was the worst natural disaster that ever happened in Turkey. So it's been almost 100 years since that happened. Now, coincidentally, here's some more information. The Ottoman Empire fell near that time, so near the time of World War II. So there was a natural disaster that happened when the Ottoman Empire fell, which was the Turkish Empire. And now, right before we're going to get into this, the Ottoman Empire is rising again with this Turkish conglomerate, the Caliphate. There is another major earthquake event. I don't think it's a coincidence. I don't think it is. But we're going to get into it. Type amen in the chat. Let's see what you guys have to say. Carlos says, dude, I was thinking the exact same thing. Yeah, man. So now I want us to move into why the Euphrates River is significant. Why is the Euphrates River significant? Okay, we look at this Bible study right here that I've prepared for you guys. Let's take a look at what this has to say. Zabe says the Ottoman Empire ended in 1925. I believe that is correct, Zabe. So, the Euphrates River. So we know the Euphrates River begins at the place where the Karasu and the Murat join in northeastern Turkey. This is just above the earthquake strike zone that took place a couple days ago. It is the longest watercourse in Southwest Asia. The distance from the source of the Murat to where it joins with the Tigris is 3,000 kilometers, ending in Iraq. Okay, so this is a big, big river. The Euphrates waterway provided the water that led to the first flowering of civilization in Sumer, dating from the 4th millennium BC. Okay, that's not as important. Let's move on from that. This area, here's where the prophecy element comes in. Around the river will play a pivotal role in end-time Bible prophecy. Sometime during the Great Tribulation, when the beast and the false prophet rule the world, 4 demonic spirits that have been bound or held at the waterway will be freed in order to unleash a wave of death upon all of mankind. Okay, here's the key word. 4 angels are going to be unleashed in the end days, okay, at the end of the book of Revelation. Now, let's look at this earthquake. So this earthquake took place at the Euphrates River. Let's get this back up for you guys. And there were 4 major earthquakes that were above 7.0 on the Richter scale. Is anybody hearing what I'm saying? I'm not saying that this is exactly what the Bible is saying, that, oh, the 4 angels were actually just unleashed from this region. It's very possible that it is. I don't think that's the case because this happens at the end of the book of Revelation. I want to know what you guys think, but when I saw that, I was shaking, to be honest, because we know that there are going to be 4 great angels that are currently bound under the river Euphrates that are going to be released in the last days. And it literally says right here, we look back at this Bible study, these angels, when they are released, they go out to kill 1/3 of mankind. This is during the Great Tribulation. It says, just before Jesus returns to earth a second time, the kingdoms of the north and the south will begin making their preparations for the Battle of Armageddon. God will then cause the Euphrates River to dry up so that the armies of the world can gather together, along with the beast and the false prophet, to fight Jesus coming directly from heaven. Okay? So whether this earthquake was the event that Revelation is essentially telling us, or whether it's not, that's essentially what's going to happen in the last days, is the Euphrates River is going to dry up, which it already is. It is to an extent. And these 4 demonic angels are going to be released to go to the kings of the earth all around the world to bring them for the Battle of Armageddon. Okay? Now, here's where we get deeper down this rabbit hole. Okay, I've shown you all of this. I've shown you pretty much everything that's going on. Why is this region so important today? Why do I believe that this earthquake just happened? We're actually going to be looking at the throne of Satan. Okay? So the Bible clearly tells us that Satan has a throne. All right? And many of you guys have seen this before. I've done a live stream about this. We're going to do it again because everybody needs to hear this like now. Like this is all happening in real time. Very, very important. Let me get a quick drink. Ooh, this is interesting. He says, this may be a warning about the 4 bound angels being released in the coming years, but this earthquake can't be about the 4 angels exactly, as the beast and the false prophet don't rule the world yet. This is what I think, brother, is this is a warning. Okay, this isn't the real deal. This is a warning to the people in Turkey and also to the people around the world to get ready. Okay, because these events are going to be 7-fold. They're going to even be 77-fold. You know, it's going to get absolutely nuts in the last days. So, looking at the throne of Satan. So, if we go to Revelation 4, verse 12. Okay, so the context here is that Jesus is talking to his church in Revelation. He's talking to the 7 churches in Asia Minor. Excuse me, guys. Asia Minor is modern day Turkey. Okay, that's just the truth. The final message that Jesus gives to his churches was not in Germany. It was not in America. It was the churches located in Asia Minor, Turkey. That's something to think about. Okay. Now, if we look at the actual verse that he gives, hopefully you guys can see this. Somebody comment below if you can see the verse. If not, I'm going to go ahead and get a new software so you guys can see it fully. But somebody comment, see if you can see it. Okay, so the verse. To the angel of the church in Pergamum, right? These are the words of him who has a sharp double-edged sword. I know where you live, where Satan has his throne. Yet you remain true to my name. You did not renounce your faith in me, not even in the days of Antipas, my faithful witness, who was never put to death in your city where Satan lives. Nevertheless, I have a few things against you. There are some among you. Oh, excuse me, guys. There are some. I think I just flipped forward. My bad. Oh, that's on me. There are some among you who hold to the teachings of Balaam, who taught Balak to entice the Israelites to sin so that they ate food sacrificed to idols and committed sensual immorality. Likewise, you also have those who hold to the teaching of the Nicolaitans. Repent, otherwise I will soon come to you and will fight against them with the sword of my mouth. Very, very, very harsh words from Jesus. That's what he's calling us to do in these days. Now, I want us to look back at this specific verse that says right here, I know where you live, where Satan has his throne. Okay? Jesus, to make this point even more clear, Jesus is like, look, this is what I mean by this. At the end of the verse, he says, in the days of Antipas, my faithful witness, who was put to death in your city where Satan lives. So he's like, this is where it is. This is where you live. This is Satan's throne. He says that multiple times. Who is he talking to? He is talking to the church of Pergamum. So now we look at the 7 churches over here, guys. These are the 7 churches within Asia Minor at the time that it was given. This prophecy was given. And if you look at the church of Pergamus, it was in the northwest of Turkey. That, according to the Bible, is where Satan's throne is. Okay? Now, this rabbit hole, let me get a quick drink. Let me know down below what you think about that. I think it's clear as day. This city is where Satan has his throne. Now, even before Revelation, we have clear indication that Turkey is where Satan's throne is, essentially all throughout the prophets. Ezekiel 38:39, we're going to get into this later. The prophecy about Gog of Magog is essentially a prophecy about the chief regions of Meshach, Tubal, Magog, Beth Togarmah, and Gomer. These are all regions within Turkey. This is where this Gog, this principality leader, comes from in the last days. So all of the indication tells us that Turkey is in fact going to be the kingdom of the beast, is in fact going to be the throne of Satan. Okay, that is essentially what we're getting to. And so this earthquake that just took place, I do not believe is a coincidence. Now, the reason why I think this earthquake happened, now that we know this, is because of what is about to take place within this region in the coming years. So I want us to take a look. We're going to move over to one of the best Bible prophecy channels on this subject. Okay, I want you guys to check out her channel after this. She actually has a premiere happening, I think, within another hour. Her name is Sonia Azam. You guys need to check out her channel right after this because she has like 1.5 million playlist talking about this. Let's check out her channel right here. This is Sonia Azam, okay? She has all of these wonderful Bible studies. She just released one specifically about Turkey in the last days. This one's called "This Will Make You Rethink Everything You Knew About Turkey." So watch this after you watch this video because her information is 1,000 times way more in-depth than mine is. But we're going to be looking at this statement given by the Turkish interior minister. His name, I believe, is like Soliman. This was a clip taken from him on December 2020, on December 15th, 2020. So I'll shut up and you guys can go ahead and watch this.
Tayyip Erdoğan, evet, sadece Türkiye'nin Cumhurbaşkanı değildir, bunu bilmemizi isterim. Bir kardeşiniz olarak söylüyorum. Bunu bir kardeşiniz olarak tekrar hatırlatıyorum. Eğer Şam'da, Bağdat'ta, Erbil'de, eğer Yemen'de, Lübnan'da, eğer Afganistan'da ve Pakistan'da huzur gelecekse ve bunlar Amerika'nın ve Avrupa'nın baskısından kurtulacaksa vallahi de bu topraklar sağlayacak.
I swear to God, if Damascus, Baghdad, Yemen, Lebanon, Libya, Afghanistan, and Pakistan would be liberated from repression of America and Europe, if peace would come to these lands, it would be up to the Turkish nation to accomplish this. Are you listening to me? Listen to what he says now.
Biz artık eski bir Türkiye değiliz. İlk kez 300 yıldır bir fırsat yakaladık. İlk kez Batı'yı lidersiz ve vizyonsuz yakaladık.
This is the first time we've had an opportunity in 300 years since the beginning of Ottoman Empire's decline. What opportunity is he speaking of?
Biz 100 yıl önümüzü görüyoruz diyen Batı'yı bu kış soğuktan titrerken yakaladık. Soğuktan titrer. Gıda krizi.
It is the first time we have caught the West without leaders and without a vision. For the first time, we caught the West, who was supposed to make sentinel pans, shivering and trembling in the cold in winter. Does that give anybody else chills? He is essentially saying, now America is in decline. We as the Turkish people notice this. Now it's up to us as a nation, and we are going to be responsible for the entire Middle East. We are going to revive the Islamic Empire. Okay, that's what he's saying. It is Turkey's responsibility to, essentially figure out the Syrian problem. It's Turkey's responsibility to figure out Afghanistan. They're no longer relying on American power. Why is this? Because America is clearly in decline, and countries around the world know this. All right, this happened just last year.
Krizine düşünce tahıl koridorunu açmak için tıpış tıpış geldiler mi? Geldiler mi? Şimdi enerji koridoru yeni olsun diye üşümeyelim. Fabrikalarımızı çalıştıralım. Kışın sıcak olalım diye Tayyip Erdoğan'ın kapısını çalıyorlar mı? Türkiye'nin kapısını çalıyorlar mı?
When the food crisis erupted, did the Western leaders not come begging to Erdogan to open the grain corridor from Ukraine? They are knocking on Erdogan, the president, on Turkey's door so that they benefit from energy, so they do not get cold in winter and let their factories keep working.
Daha yeni başladık. İnanın sorumluluğumuz çoktur.
We are just
Biz çünkü alelade bir millet değiliz. Biz alelade bir ülke değiliz. Biz alelade bir devlet değiliz.
So that's the deal, is Turkey clearly sees themselves as the upcoming superpower, especially within the region, in order to contend with everything that's going on. So again, make sure to check out Sonia Azam's channel after this. She's premiering a video shortly, and she goes more into depth about this. So then we need to move over here. This is what I wanted to show you guys, is this Turkish, it's called the Turkic World Vision of 2020 or 2040. Okay, let's move over actually to what Sonia has to say about this. So I'll play this.
About a century ago, our world witnessed a grinding war that not only were the victims of human beings as countries and empires went into effect, and the features of countries and demographics of entire peoples changed. After the battle...
Here, I'm going to pause this real quick. Somebody commented, please do not make assumptions about the Turkish people. We are talking about Islamic leaders here, not all Turkish. I do want to respond to this real quick. I'm not making an assumption about the Turkish people. I've shown within this live stream and other live streams that Turkey is the throne of Satan according to the Bible. Not according to me, according to the Bible. It's the land of Magog. So when we say Turkey is going to be the kingdom of the beast that rises up in the coming years under this new Turkic World Vision 2024, I don't think I'm making an assumption at all. I think the last days is going to be this dichotomy between the Turkic peoples, right? Azerbaijan, you have Armenia, you have Georgia, you have all of these northern Central African Asians. Asian countries. Let's actually look at the map. Let me get this up for you guys. Let's look at Central Asia. Okay, so you look at the images of Central Asia right here. All of these northern Central Asian countries. Man, I can't find a picture that's like big. Let's see if this one will do the trick. So hopefully you guys can see this one right here. And of course, I didn't put it up on the screen. So yeah, you have Kazakhstan, you have Turkmenistan, you have Uzbekistan, you have Kyrgyzstan, you have Tajikistan. Okay, this is just underneath Russia, south of Russia, north of Iran. This is why within Ezekiel 38:39, you have Gog as the chief prince of these regions. Gog is going in the last days to be the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. Some people put these regions in modern day Turkey. Other people put these regions in Central Asia. If you look at all of the biblical scholars on this specific instance, all of them do not recognize Russia as the chief prince of Rosh, Meshach, and Tubal. It is the Central Asian countries. All right. And so that's why there's going to be a Turkish president that's going to rise up and is going to lead these countries in this last days invasion of Israel. So let me see if you're going to respond to that, sister, because I appreciate you bringing that point up. I just wanted to clarify. I do this in love. I don't do this to, you know what I mean? We're all family here. Shelby says a lot of victims are Syrian refugees who are living in already bombed, compromised structures, combined with center block buildings that crumble easily, low temps, middle of the night. Yeah, it's really sad, guys. It's really sad. So, okay, so she responded, fully agree. Sorry, I was referring to a comment. You are right. See, I do that so much, guys. It's like, I think somebody's talking to me. Somebody in my comments the other day was talking about how somebody was a clown. And I was like, I got so flustered. I'm like, yo, come on my live stream, debate me. And turns out he was talking to somebody else. So, I don't know. There needs to be a way for people for like YouTube to filter those out. Anyway, okay. Back to this prophecy update. So, it's not a coincidence that this earthquake is going to take place right at the turn of Turkey's elections in 2023. Okay, Turkey is expected to have their presidential elections on May 14th, 2023. Let's look at this article right here. President Tayyip Erdogan is aiming to extend his 20-year rule in elections that will decide not just who leads Turkey, but how it is governed, where its economy is headed, and what role it may play to ease conflict in Ukraine and the Middle East. The presidential and parliamentary elections, which must be held by June, mark the biggest political challenge yet for Erdogan, who has championed religious piety. This term, religious piety, is really just saying he's going back to his Islamic roots. Okay, that's really just saying he is returning back to, because Turkey was a secular state for, ever since Ataturk took over for hundreds of years. It's literally been 100 years. They've been entering NATO. They've been doing all of these things. But now President Erdogan is bringing everything back to its Islamic roots. This is exactly what Bible prophecy says is going to happen. Okay, as we continue down this article, all right, I have so many tabs. Stay with me, y'all. I have so many tabs, it's hard to find. Yeah, see, I'm told I need to get this. Okay. Okay, so what's at stake in this election for Turkey? The most powerful leader since Mustafa Kemal Ataturk founded the modern Turkish Republic a century ago. Erdogan and his Islamic-based AK party have shifted Turkey away from Ataturk's secular blueprint. Erdogan has also centralized power around an executive presidency. He's a tyrant. Based in a 1,000-roomed palace on the edge of Ankara, which sets policy on Turkey's economic, security, domestic, and international affairs. It's a tale as old as time. You know, he's building a $1 million palace. He's the guy. He's the ruler. Nothing new. Opposition parties have pledged to restore central bank independence, bringing back parliamentary government and introducing a new constitution, enshrining the rule of law. So here's where it starts to get wild. Under Erdogan, Turkey has flexed military power in the Middle East and beyond, launching 4 incursions into Syria, waging an offensive against Kurdish militants inside Iraq, and sending military support to Libya and Azerbaijan. All right, Libya plays a major role in all of this, and we're going to discuss this later. Okay, back to the article. Turkey also saw a series of diplomatic clashes with regional powers Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Israel, as well as standoff with Greece and Cyprus over Eastern Mediterranean maritime boundaries, until it changed tack 2 years ago and sought rapprochement with its rivals. Erdogan recently purchased Russian air defenses which triggered U.S. arms industry sanctions against Ankara, the capital city. So this is that's essentially what's going on with the Turkish elections. It's basically going to be, is Erdogan going to get back into power? Is he going to continue to be a tyrant, or are they going to elect a more stable, more non-religious government? Here is the prophecy aspect of this. Here's where it gets important. If Erdogan gets into power, we are going to see a greater shift towards the Islamic route of Turkey. They're going to continue going down the path of Islamicism. Now, when they go down this path, there's only one way that this is going to go. It's going to go to the restoration of the caliphate, okay? Because Erdogan has specifically called for Turkey to be the ruler of the new caliphate. Okay, and the caliphate is Islamic governance. It is Sharia law. It is the government of the Islamic State, ISIS, Islamic State, and they want to rule the Middle East. This is what Bible prophecy has been telling us from the beginning. Okay, so I want us to move over to Daniel 11, because Daniel 11 is going to clear up a lot of this, a lot of what's taking place within our time. Okay. So moving on to Daniel 11, I want us to move down to verse 40. So we see right here, this is the last prophecy before Jesus Christ returns. This is what's going to be happening right before Christ returns. And here, Tiki Talk actually sent $10. Thank you so much, Tiki Talk. Appreciate that. Love the support, y'all. If you guys want, you guys can go ahead and become a member for like less than a cup of coffee. And you guys can get like these badges right next to your name. That's up to you if you want. So anyway, so Daniel 40. At the time of the end, the king of the south will engage him in battle. The him right here is the Antichrist. And the king of the north will storm out against him. The king of the north is, again, the official title for the Antichrist within this passage. He storms out against him with chariots and cavalry and a great fleet of ships. So this, you should be asking this question right now. Who is the king of the south? Okay, because it says the king of the south is going to be the one that attacks the king of the north. So as the king of the south attacks him, it says the Antichrist will invade many countries, sweep through them like a flood. He will also invade the beautiful land. This is a Jewish idiom referencing Israel. Many countries will fall, but Edom, Moab, and the leaders of Ammon will be delivered from his hand. We can go into this a little bit later, but Edom, Moab, and the leaders of Ammon, this is mainly Jordan. This is mainly kind of Israel's neighbor, maybe getting into a little bit of Syria, but it's mainly the Jordanians. They're going to escape the Antichrist for whatever that's worth. I don't know why that's going to happen, but that's what the Bible says. So he, the Antichrist, will extend his power over many countries. Egypt will not escape. Okay, that is who the king of the south is. Within this verse is Egypt. It says in other verses that when the king of the north, when they're attacking and he wins, he will drag all of the treasures of Egypt back to his country in the north. Okay, so Egypt is the king of the south. Let me get a quick drink. I'm fired up, y'all. I love doing these Bible studies. So Egypt will not escape. He will gain control of the treasures of gold and silver and of all the riches of Egypt, with the Libyans and the Cushites in submission. but reports from the east and the north will alarm him. He will set out in great rage to destroy and annihilate many. He will pitch his royal tents between the seas at the beautiful holy mountain, yet he will come to his end and nobody will help him. Okay, so I want us to turn back to this issue of Egypt, Libya, and the Cushites. These are the three kingdoms or the three nations that are going to be put down under the Antichrist. Okay, so now we need to ask the question, what is significant about these three nations today? Does this have any application to what we just read in the Bible? Well, here's another breaking Bible prophecy news update. Literally just 4 days ago, let me find this tab for y'all. There was a historic peace treaty that was basically said to be made. It says right here, Israel says Sudan peace deal to be signed in Washington. Okay, are you guys listening to me? Sudan is the name, the modern day name of the ancient Cushites. So Sudan is going to be one of the nations that the Antichrist, the king of the north, is going to put down. And we are seeing literally 4 days ago, they are normalizing peace with Israel. This is the dichotomy of the last days. Who is going to make peace with Israel? Who is not? That is why we saw the Antichrist comes into Egypt, comes into Libya, comes into Sudan, because he has to pacify them because they want peace within the region. So Sudan just signed this historic peace agreement. Let's look at some of the details. Okay. Israel, Sudan will sign a historic peace agreement in Washington in a few months' time, Israel's foreign minister announced following talks in Khartoum. The text of the agreement was finalized during his one-day visit to see Sudanese leader Abdul Fattah al-Burhan. Sudan agreed 2 years ago to normalize relations with Israel, but a deal has never been implemented. It would become the latest Arab League country to establish such ties. The United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, and Morocco have officially normalized relations with Israel since 2020 as a part of the U.S.-brokered Abrahamic Accords. Historically, looks like I'm getting some text. Historically, members of the Arab League have refused to recognize Israel, a factor in perpetuating the Arab-Israeli conflict. Egypt became the first Arab country to sign a peace treaty with Israel in 1979, followed by Jordan in 1994. So, moving back to Daniel 11. Let's get this back up. I'm super excited about this, y'all, because we're seeing this happening before our very eyes. Again, he will gain control of the treasures of gold, of silver, of all the riches of Egypt. Egypt was the first of the Arab nations to normalize relations with Israel. And then we have the Cushites, which 4 days ago is now making peace with Israel. So that leaves one more nation. Okay, that leaves the Libyans. Now, here's where it gets kind of tricky. I'm going to take a brief break real quick, y'all, because my vocal cords die like so quickly in these live streams. Give me just one sec. I'm getting blown up right now. I think I got some people watching me. So, okay, so we talked about that. So now we need to look at the Libyans. So the Libyans, they almost signed a peace deal recently with Israel. Libya peace agreement. What's up, y'all? Make sure that's... So the Libyan peace process, peace agreement with Israel. Okay. I gotta get this up for y'all. Excuse me. Okay. So, yeah, so it looks like actually I was incorrect. It looks like Libya actually signed a peace agreement under the United Arab Emirates peace agreement on Tuesday, September 15th, 2020. So, we have all three nations lined up for this last day's invasion to take place. Okay. I want to know what your guys' thoughts and opinions are on this, because these are the three kings that the Antichrist is going to put down, which means if these three nations are set into place with these peace agreements with Israel, that means this could take place literally any moment. Now, let me give you a quick scenario of what I think personally is going to happen. I think personally, Erdogan is going to get back into power on May 14th of this year. What he's going to do eventually, according to Daniel 7 and according to Daniel 11, he is going to proclaim himself to be the caliph of Islam and re-administer the caliphate. Now, we look back at Daniel 11. We're going to give you guys more details on what I think is going to happen. Okay, so let's move over to Daniel. Actually, let's move over to Daniel 8. So this is the vision of the ram and the goat. So let's make sure this is up for you guys. So I, Daniel, had a vision after one that already appeared to me. In my vision, I saw myself in the citadel of Susa in the province of Elam. In the vision, I was beside the Ulai Canal. I looked up, and there before me was a ram with 2 horns, standing beside the canal, and the horns were long. One of the horns was longer than the other, but grew up later. I watched the ram as it charged towards the west and the north and the south. No animal could stand against it, and none can rescue from its power. It did as it pleased, and it became great. So that's the first beast. It's considered a ram. It has 2 horns, and we know, according to Daniel 7 and all these other passages, that a horn represents a king or a kingdom. But most specifically, it's usually mentioned as a king. Okay. As I watched, I was thinking about this. Suddenly, a goat with a prominent horn. That's a very interesting term. We're going to get back to that. A prominent horn between its eyes came from the west, crossing the whole earth without touching the ground. It came towards the 2-horned ram I had seen standing beside the canal and charged at it with a great rage. I saw it attack the ram furiously, striking the ram and shattering its 2 horns. So this prominent horn, or this prominent king, charges against these other 2 kings that come out from the east, from Persia, Iran. That's where all of this is going to start, and he's going to destroy these 2 kings. Okay, now none can rescue the ram from its power. The goat, the goat with the prominent horn, became very great, but at the height of its power, the large horn was broken off, and in its place, 4 prominent horns grew up towards the 4 winds of heaven. Before we move on, this is what I think this means. Okay, because people have asked me, okay, do I think Erdogan is going to be the Antichrist? I do not think so. It is because the first thing that needs to happen is there needs to be a war with Iran and Turkey, because Turkey is the eastern king. He's the king of the north. And then Iran is Persia, this ram. They need to have a war, a conflict. And the prominent horn, which is described later as the first king of Yavan, that's the first king. So I believe Erdogan can proclaim himself to be the first king. He will be the first caliph. But it says that this prominent horn is broken and his kingdom divided into 4 horns. So I do not believe that Erdogan has any chance of being the Antichrist, because even if he is this prominent horn, that does not mean that his kingdom, he needs to die and his kingdom needs to be divided into 4 aspects. Now back to the verse. Okay. So we see the prominent horn is divided into 4 horns. Out of one of them came another horn, which started small but grew in power to the south and to the east and toward the beautiful land. That's Israel. This horn, also known as the little horn, is the Antichrist. So the Antichrist is going to come out of this foundational division of the 4 kingdoms, the 4 horns. Okay. It grew up until it reached the host of heaven, and it threw down some of the starry host down to the earth and trampled on them. Now, right here, we're reading the NIV. The ESV actually says it cast down the host of heaven. So it's this dichotomy of this little horn growing up out of these 4 horns, and it cast down the host of heaven. I believe this is a reference to the tail of Satan casting down the stars of heaven when he is cast out of heaven. We see in Revelation 13 that Satan, his tail swept down 1/3 of the stars. I believe that when the Antichrist grows up and he exalts himself above all other gods and magnifies himself, he is going to cast down many of the angels to follow him at this point, because it's going to be a false counterfeit kingdom of God. And to those who know me, I believe this is going to be the false counterfeit religion of Islam, right? When the Antichrist grows out of the caliphate, proclaims himself to be the Mahdi, and proclaims his God to be Allah, right? And this false foreign god of Allah is going to lead people out of the true kingdom of God, which is the kingdom of Christ. Okay, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So, right, so it grew until it reached the host of heaven. Let's put this back up for you guys. It set itself up to be as great as the commander of the army of the Lord. Now, this term, the army of the Lord, the commander of the army of the Lord, is also seen in Joshua. Because remember, when Joshua was going out in his conquest, he was aided by the commander of the Lord of the army of the host of heaven's armies. So it's a false counterfeit commander. It took away the daily sacrifice from the Lord, and his sanctuary was thrown down. Because of rebellion, the Lord's people and the daily sacrifice were given over to. It prospered in everything it did, and truth was thrown to the ground. Then I heard a holy one speaking, and another holy one said to him, "How long will it take for this vision to be fulfilled?" The vision concerning the daily sacrifice, the rebellion that causes desolation, the surrender of the sanctuary, and the trampling underfoot of the Lord's holy people. He said to me, "It will take 2,300 evenings and mornings, then the sanctuary will be restored." All right. So the angel literally says it's going to take, when all of this begins to take place, the prominent horn, the four kingdoms, the Antichrist, the casting down of the host of heaven. This is going to take 2,300 literal evenings and mornings, which means this is all going to take place in 3.5 years. Okay. So let's see what you guys have to say. Tanya says, all of God's children can prophesy. Amen. I believe it. Hopefully I'm making sense to you guys. I really wanted this to make sense because, with this earthquake that's taking place, I believe this is a warning of what is about to take place. And I think people really need to hear this. If you read, please do me a favor and tell someone you know in real life about Jesus Christ. Please do, because now is the time. This could all happen very, very quickly. He said, is this a reference to Alexander the Great? Great question. It is, but it also is not, okay? Because the entirety of Daniel there's an already and not yet aspect of it. Now, if you don't believe in that, all you need to do is go to Daniel 10, which Daniel 10 is essentially the vision of the angel showing himself to Daniel and saying, listen, this has to do with the time of the end. All of Daniel is about the end of times. So yes, Daniel 11, Daniel 7 happened under both Alexander the Great, and some parts of it happened under Antiochus Epiphanes. I'm forgetting the name. So yes, there was a past fulfillment, but the ultimate fulfillment is going to be in the last days, when the entire world is going to be called into question. Who is the God of this world? Is it going to be the God of the Bible, or is it going to be the God of the Quran? That's essentially going to be the dichotomy of the last days under the kingdom of the Antichrist. Okay. The two witnesses are the Old and New Testament. The reason they will be destroyed is because the world will be burning the Bibles. Disagree. It literally says they were killed and their bodies were in the holy city of Jerusalem. Okay. I don't believe that the Bible is going to be scattered all over Jerusalem. It's two literal witnesses that are going to be martyred in Jerusalem. That's what I believe. I'll take a couple more questions and then we'll get back to our subject. We're going to be going live for 1 hour and 30 minutes today, guys. God bless y'all. Thank you to the supporters of this channel. Why do you keep tearing down this young man? Let him speak. At least he's willing to do something. Again, I offer anybody to come on my channel and debate me if you do not agree with any of these. Come on, let's talk about it. I did a debate with a guy who believed in the Roman Antichrist theory, which most people believe. I'm trying to get some good comments up in here, y'all. All right, so I think that's that. So I think we covered the majority of the topics. Now I want us to go back to Sonia so she can kind of give more details about what's going to take place. So go ahead and watch this video.
I bet this is news to a lot of you, right? There were 16 great Turkic empires. All this stuff that we didn't know about. I believe this is important for us to understand, because when this consolidation of Turkic peoples or the Turkic states forms, It's going to take the world by surprise. There's going to be some sort of revival that unites them all, and the final one there being the Ottoman Empire. The 16 great Turkic empires. You see where Islam came in here. After the Seljuk Empire, let's look at the Seljuks. The Seljuk Empire, or the Seljuk Empire, was a highly medieval, culturally Turco-Persian Sunni Muslim empire founded and ruled by the Kinnic branch of Oghuz Turks. It spanned a total area of 3.9 million square kilometers, from Anatolia and the Levant in the west to the Hindu Kush in the east. Remarkable. Now, the rise of the Turks. Understanding a bit more about these people groups, because I'm interested in knowing why is this people groups coming to invade.
Real quick, we have a question. Do you believe that the Prince of Greece, Yavon, will be the principality over the Antichrist kingdom? It's not going to be a principality. It's going to be a literal king. Okay, it's going to be a literal, the Prince of Yavon, the Prince of Greece. When you read Daniel and it says the kings of the Medes and the Persian, or the Medes and the Persians will go against the king of Greece, that is a false translation within our Bibles. Our Bibles have literally put Greece ever since the New King James Version, but the term is Yavon, which is a region pointing to Asia Minor. This is why we talked about the throne of Satan being in this region from the beginning, because the end of days is going to be this, it's going to be the kingdom of Satan under the throne of Satan in this region, Asia Minor. Hopefully that answered your question. Let's get back to the video.
There's this rivalry in the Islamic world today, on different aspects. You've got the Sunni and the Shia conflict, but you also have an ethnicity issue, the Turks and the Arabs, and you can say the Persians. There's a rivalry there between the ethnicities, right? And I believe this is another reason why Iran, well, the scripture says Persia, would join in this invasion with the leader who rules and leads the Turkic peoples. Persia will be in there. So will Libya. So will Sudan.
Yeah, and we talked about this. Yeah, we talked about it.
Against Israel and Arabia, Sheba and Dedan. Turkey is named after the ethnic group who came to dominate the region during the medieval era, a people called the Turks. Around the 12th century, excuse me, Europeans were referring to the Anatolian Peninsula, which is the area between the Mediterranean and Black Seas, as the land of the Turks. I like to see somebody just tell me. That sounds an awful lot like Ezekiel 38, the land of.
So yeah, you go check out her channel, guys. That's Sonia Azam. She's amazing. She does way more in-depth research. But again, we've talked about all this. We talked about the throne of Satan. We talked about Gog and Magog. We talked about the earthquake, why I think it's a warning. We talked about all of this, even connecting it to Daniel 11. So you've gotten towards this part of the video. We're going to move over to the question and answer section. I'll try to answer some of you guys' questions. But you've got to this point. What you really need to understand is how close we are to the end, okay? Because we have been deceived that this Antichrist kingdom is going to come from Europe. It's going to come from Russia. It's going to come from these way other nations. But that's not what the Bible tells us. The Bible tells us it's going to be a Middle Eastern coalition. That is why I believe this earthquake was a warning to us to wake up and to get ready. That's why I'm going live almost every single day, because I think we're so close. We need to talk about this. So let's go ahead and get into some questions and answers. I'll try to read all of you guys' questions. Like, it's hard to see. There's a lot of you guys in here. There's like 300 people in here. Ernest said Babylon is in every country, not just one. No, I don't believe that. Babylon, Mystery Babylon the Great woman, I don't want to say the name, is the city, the great city that sits on the beast. Now, the beast is referenced as having 7 heads and 10 horns. This beast, also, these heads are also called mountains. We know that mountains within the Bible are not like, oh, the 7 hills of Rome or the 7 hills of Mecca. mountains are kingdoms. So these 7 hills are 7 kingdoms that this false religious system, this false city sits on top of. So again, you guys have heard me say this a million times. I believe that these kingdoms are Egypt, Assyria, Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece. That's the first 5. Then you have the one that is, which is Rome. Then you have the last 2. Okay, those last 2, I believe, are the Islamic Caliphate. But Babylon is a mystery Babylon, and Babylon is a progression from the Tower of Babel all the way into the last days manifestation of Satan's empire. That's what that is. Okay. What about the island Turkey leased from Sudan for 100 years? That is an important subject. Sonia talks about it. Go check out her channel. That's in her latest video. That's too big of a topic to talk about here. Linda says, America isn't Babylon. America isn't in the Bible because no one cares about praying for her. Too many so-called Christians gave up on her and let the devil That's funny. If you guys saw the Grammys the other day, like that's what I'm reminded of. Is I'm going to do a video on that next because we exposed Balenciaga, but we're also going to expose this whole Sam Smith Unholy, right? The song is literally called Unholy, and there's a reason for that. It's mockery, it's manipulation, it's deception, and it's infiltrated our culture. Let's get some questions up in here, guys. I'm trying to see if I can find them. Man, you guys are blowing me up. You need hot tea with honey in it, sir. I will help when doing those. Thank you, by the way. I didn't really understand that, but thank you. Yes, the Bible has nothing to do with the Western world, specifically centered around Israel and the surrounding nations. Agree. Why is America not important in end-time prophecies? America given another name like Babylon? The only name that I can find for America in the Bible is possibly Tarshish. Okay, we see within Daniel and within these other prophecies that Tarshish, let's get the screen up, are called the Western coastlands. That's the only thing given to the Western world within the Bible. Okay, are the Western coastlands. It says when the Antichrist invades the beautiful land, he casts down the Holy Covenant. When he's doing his conquest, the merchants of Tarshish, the Western peoples come in with their ships, and he gets alarmed and he goes back to his land because he's alarmed of the Western. So what I believe is essentially there's going to be a Western response to this Middle Eastern invasion of the Middle East, and eventually, like, the West is going to be like, oh, we're not going to let you guys do whatever you want, and they start sending warships into the region. But no, I don't believe America is mentioned at all in end time prophecy, which is really sad because most Americans think that it's everything, right? When really it's almost nothing. More questions, guys? Okay, it is my belief that we're living in the first 4 seals. What do you think? Absolutely not. The first seal, I'll take it back. I won't say absolutely because there's no absolutes except for God. But the first seal is described as the rider on the white horse. Okay, this is he's wearing a crown, and that crown is it's using a Greek imagery of when you would do these tournaments. There was the real crown that was given to the real victor, and then there was a counterfeit crown given to, like, second place, third place. This rider is wearing a false crown. He's wearing it's the Antichrist. That's what this rider is. Followed by the second seal, which is the rider on the red horse. He was allowed to give he was given a sword, and peace was taken from the earth. Okay, and this is so I don't believe that we are even anywhere near any of this right now. It says in Revelation that the man of lawlessness needs to be revealed. That is the chief indication of the last days, is the man of lawlessness is revealed, the son of destruction, who opposes and exalts himself above every so-called God or object of worship. So the minute you start seeing a man, whether he's a Muslim, whether he's a Catholic, start proclaiming himself as God and proclaiming himself as greater than every object of worship, we should be saying that we are in the second seal or the first seal of Revelation. That's my opinion. Okay. Truth says, I agree, Middle East plays a huge role in end-time prophecy, but the Bible refers all people America as spiritual Egypt. Incorrect, my brother. Show me where America is considered spiritual Egypt. I showed you guys previously how Egypt is the king of the south within Daniel 11. This is the primary last days passage of the end days, is the king of the north versus the king of the south. This is why also in Isaiah 11, the Antichrist is given dominion over Egypt, literal Egypt, right? With pharaohs, like the pharaohs are considered the leaders. So the Antichrist is literally going to capture Egypt. He's not going to, America isn't anywhere involved in any of this. We got to let the Bible speak for itself. I say this with love. When we let the Bible speak for itself, it's very, very clear. Do I think it's possible America could be the sea beast, along with its 10 governors over the 10 FEMA regions and 7 heads, 7 joint chiefs of staff? Originally 4 heads. Again, absolutely not. I don't believe that this beast, that America has anything to do with these beasts, right? The beast is described as a lion, a leopard, and a bear. Moving back to Daniel, the kingdom of the lion was the Babylonian Empire. The kingdom of the bear was the kingdom of the Medes and the Persians. The kingdom of the leopard was the kingdom of Greece, Yavan, Asia Minor, Turkey. So when it says it's a lion, leopard, bear, you have to combine these kingdoms. You get a Middle Eastern beast. You don't get an American beast. Okay? If you get one thing from my channel, please get that. Like, that's the most important part. Amen, sister or brother. What about Serbia? Will it take place in the end times? Again, I think we really need to have our focus on the Middle East, on Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, all of these things. More questions, guys? Thank you. So many pastors on YouTube want to be pastors, keep telling lies, and people don't take the Bible literally like God intended. Right. You know what I mean? I don't claim to be a pastor. I'm just a teacher. That's what I would proclaim myself to be. A pastor is somebody who shepherds and leads the flock of God. I'm not a pastor, okay? If you want somebody to pastor you, go to a church. I'm just somebody who feels called to teach what I believe is the Bible. Do I believe the 10 kings will be 5 Sunni nations and 5 Shia nations? When we understand that Gog of Magog is essentially another name for the Antichrist, then we know the exact nations. Okay. When it comes to the 10 kings, the 10 horns of the beast, we have Persia, we have Cush, we have Put, we have Egypt, Libya, and we have Sudan, right? That's 7. You have the king of the north, which that's 8. And then you also have, Beth Takorma and Gomer. So the 10 nations are given in the Bible. The Bible interprets itself. These nations, let's pull them up on a map. Try to make this a little more dynamic for you guys. When we look at the Gog and Magog nations, we're going to see some retarded results. Like, look at this right here. This is the popular view of the Gog and Magog invasion. Is Russia, Turkey, Iran. Couldn't be further from the truth. Absolutely cannot be further from the truth. Now, when we look at the actual map, okay, let's back it up for a sec. So these are the nations given in Ezekiel 38. We have, and this is related to the 10 kings. We have Rosh, which again, let me clarify this real quick for those who don't know. Rosh is not a nation. Most biblical scholars understand that the term Rosh literally means chief prince. Okay, when you go to the Bible, many of the new translations, including the ESV, the NIV, don't even put Rosh into the equation. It's because Rosh is a term meaning the head or the chief prince. When we read in the ESV version, so let me back up. When you go to the King James version, it'll say Gog is the chief prince of Rosh, Meshach, and Tubal. But if you go to the newer translation, it says Gog is the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. That's because they understand that Rosh is a term referencing chief prince. So we can take Rosh completely out of the table. So let's take Rosh out of here. Okay, you have Meshach and Tubal. Okay, you have Persia, that's Iran. Meshach and Tubal, that's Turkey. Cush, that's Ethiopia, Sudan. Put, that's Libya. You have Gomer, which is Turkey, and you have Beth Togarmah. So these are going to be the primary nations, the primary heads of the beast. That's what these nations are going to be. So the Bible literally tells us straight up exactly what it's going to be. So hopefully that helps you guys. 30 more minutes. I'm just gonna answer questions straight for 30 more minutes. What do you guys want to know about Bible prophecy? What topics do you guys want me to talk on? I'm thinking of doing through the book of Daniel. So I'm thinking from start to finish, we're going to go from Daniel 1 to Daniel 12. We're going to go through the whole thing. We're also going to do the same thing with Revelation. And it's all going to be related to the Islamic Antichrist theory. So if that's what you guys want me to start doing, comment below if that's what you want. Because we have so many things we have to talk about. And we have so little time. So little time. Okay, let's get caught up. He comes as a thief of the night. Correct. Russia is not Gog. Gog is the chief leader of the land of Magog, Meshach, and Tubal. Correct. She says, I've been smoking for 35 years. I want to stop. Can those born again please pray for me? Y'all, pray for her. Okay. Smoking is a terrible habit, not only for the body, but for the soul, right? When you smoke, and this is really with any sin, when you do these things, you're doing it to release, you're doing it to relief, to find relief. This is why within 2 Corinthians or within Colossians, it talks about walking by the Spirit. If you walk by the power of the Spirit, you will put to death the means of the flesh. So instead of going to the flesh to smoking to relieve whatever stress or whatever problems you're having in the day, you need to learn how to walk by the Spirit, because the Spirit is way more powerful in relieving all of these things. That's something you have to learn over time. But if you continue to pray, you continue to stay in the Bible, God will, he'll come close. So we'll be praying for you, sister. Do I think Dajjal will be an augmented human from the... Okay, we're going to skip that one. Short answer, no. Who is Babylon? We've already touched on that. Go ahead and rewatch this if you've seen that. Can you tell us the number of the beast? Very interesting. Okay, so the number of the beast, this has to do with the mark of the beast. The number of the beast. Let's move over to Revelation 12. Okay. For those of you guys who stay towards the end of my stream, you guys get like the cream of the crop, because the mark of the beast is probably the most interesting theory. So when we move to Revelation 13, okay, let's pull it up right here. Okay, so this is the beast. So when you ask me what the name or the number of the beast is, you have to know who the beast is before you know the number or the name. So it says, I saw a beast coming out of the sea. It had 10 horns, 7 heads. We talked about this. These are Middle Eastern countries with 10 crowns on its horns, and on each head a blasphemous name. Okay, the blasphemous name is blaspheming the God of the Bible. That's what the name of these kings or these kingdoms, when they rise up, they're going. The very nature of their kingdom is blasphemous towards God. We learn later what this means. Like I said, it resembled a leopard, had the feet like a bear, and the mouth of a lion. We discussed these are Middle Eastern nations. Now the dragon, which is Satan, gave the beast his power and his throne and great authority. One of the heads of the beast seemed to have a fatal wound, but the fatal wound had been healed. The whole world was filled with wonder and followed the beast. People worshipped the dragon because he had given authority to the beast, and they had worshipped the beast and asked, who is like the beast? Who can wage war against it? Okay. This is going back to Turkey. Okay. Because what's going to happen is the dragon, Lucifer, his plan this whole time has been to set up his counterfeit kingdom on earth. Okay. And he is going to empower a single man from the land of Magog with this. He's going to empower him and give him his authority. So it's the dichotomy of this Baal god, Allah, the chief of the Baal gods, right? Because Baal, you saw in my last live stream, Baal became Zeus, the Greek god Zeus. Zeus became Jupiter, the Roman god. And then we see this dichotomy of then it turns over to Allah, right? Because Allah, and I'll have to do another video on this, but there's so many connections to this ancient Baal worship, right? They literally encircle a black stone, which is an ancient pagan Baal ritual. Okay. But Satan, under the false guise of Allah, is going to empower this man in order to rise up in the last days so that everybody will worship him, so that all the kings of the earth will submit to him. Okay. That's what you have to understand. Now, people worship the dragon because he had given authority to the beast. So people are going to be worshiping Satan because he gave his authority to the beast, this man. So it's a either or. This man receives worship, Satan receives worship. So Allah is going to receive worship from the Mahdi, this man. They worship the beast, asking who is like the beast, who can wage war against it. That is, again, the dichotomy of this beast is going to be a powerful military political figure. Okay. This beast was given a mouth to utter proud words and blasphemies and exercise its authority for 42 months. It opened its mouth to blaspheme God. We're saying this exact same thing. And to slander his name and his dwelling place and those who live in heaven. So they're slandering the God of the Bible. He was given power to wage war against God's holy people and to conquer them. And it was given authority over every tribe, people, language, and nation. All inhabitants of the earth will worship the beast, all whose name who had not been written in the Lamb's book of life, the Lamb who was slain from the creation of the world. He who has ears, let him hear. So anyway, that's that. Now, now that you understand what the beast is, it's this Islamic coalition under the false god of Allah. Then you have to understand, okay, what is the name or the number of the beast? Because we see that the number of the beast is 666. Okay, there's a couple theories on this. I'm not dead set. There is a theory that when we look at Revelation 16, or Revelation, this coming down here, it says, the second beast was given power to give breath to the image of the first beast, so that this image could speak and cause all who refused to worship the image to be killed. It also forced all people, great and small, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hands or on their foreheads, so that they could not buy or sell unless they had the mark, which is the name of the beast or the number of his name. This calls for a mind with wisdom. Let the person who has insight calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. The number is 666. Okay. Now, the primary theory that I aspire to is essentially this idea of the Shahada. So the Shahada, in order to become a Muslim, you need to proclaim the Shahada, which means you need to proclaim that Allah is the God of this world and that Muhammad was his last and final messenger. Now, if you look at what ISIS did when they initially broke out, because ISIS is the Islamic State, what they literally did was they tried to form a caliphate underneath a single man, and they tried to do what all these other leaders are trying to do in these other countries. They broke out, they started mass killing people, they started mass doing all these things, and they would force people to proclaim the Shahada, the name of Allah in Muhammad. And what they would do is they would put these forehead or these bands with the Shahada on the band on your forehead, and they would also tattoo or put markings on your hand of the name of Allah. Let's actually look at this. So Taliban headbands. Okay, these are the headbands that the Taliban, they have these markings on them right here. That's one of them. Okay. This headband, if you can see it, has the name of Allah written on top of it. It's the name of the beast. It's the yeah. So that's really what I kind of think the mark of the beast really is going to be, is when the Antichrist comes onto the world stage and he sets up his image. He goes in the temple. He's going to force all of the nations under his subjugation to submit to him. This is the Bay'ah pledge, for those who don't know. Whenever a caliph comes onto the scene, everybody who is a Muslim is required to submit to this man. That's called the Bay'ah pledge. So they submit to him, and he's going to enforce the mark of the beast. They're going to force you to proclaim Muhammad as the last and final messenger of God. And by doing that, you are going to deny that Jesus ever died for your sins, and that you know what I mean? Jesus never died, and he did not. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. But that's essentially what that is. So that's what we need to be careful for moving forward, is when a man does this and they're going to force us to literally proclaim that Allah is the God of this world. Do not do it. Do not do it, because Jesus Christ is the God of this world. He was the lamb that was slain from the foundation of the world. And any who is not found in the Lamb's book of life, who was slain from the creation of the world, will worship the beast. That's what this is. Okay? That's what this is. Okay, 15 more minutes. Let's get some questions in here. We're slowing down a bit. I'm trying to keep the energy up. Woo! All right. Okay, where is the deception in your theory of the mark of the beast? Such a mark would be obvious. That's the idea. The mark of the beast is going to be obvious. It literally says it's going to be on your forehead and on your hand. That's why the greatest warning in the Bible is given towards the mark of the beast. It literally says, if we move back to Revelation 13, actually Revelation 17, okay, it says, dang, where's this verse, y'all? It's basically the warning given to anybody who takes the mark of the beast. Can somebody comment below where this is? Trying to remember. Anybody who takes the mark will be tormented. Say in the chat, y'all. Say in the chat. Anybody who takes will be tormented. Okay, Revelation 14:9. The third angel followed them and said in a loud voice, if anyone worships the beast and its image and receives its mark on their forehead or on their hand, he too will drink the wine. Dude, I'm getting chills when I hear this. He will drink the wine of God's anger, poured in full measure into the cup of his wrath, and he will be tormented in fire and sulfur in the presence of the holy angels and of the Lamb forevermore. If you do not get chills hearing that, y'all, I don't even know if you're a Christian. That's the point of the mark. It's going to be obvious. Anybody who takes this mark, who worships this false god, who worships this false Messiah, will burn in hell in the worst possible way that could possibly be said, in the presence of Jesus Christ. He's going to be looking at those who took the mark of the beast, and they're going to be in torment forever and ever. The smoke of their ashes rise up forever and ever. So to say that the mark is going to somehow not be obvious, that is a deception. Okay? That is a deception. I want to see future videos on your enlightenments and on the grapefruit. Amen. My social security number has 666 in it, but that is the number of a man as well. But I'm a child of God. 666 doesn't scare me. Amen. We shouldn't be scared of 666. Okay, Lion of Judah. Is this the Lion of Judah that has like millions of subscribers? That'd be hilarious. He has like the motivational Christian videos. Okay. Do I have an argument against the idea of an antichrist from Europe and America? My entire family believes that where he comes from, but I believe he comes from Islam. Tell them to go watch my video. Look at this. I just debated somebody on this. Go check out my video on debating somebody who believes in the Roman antichrist theory. I just literally debated somebody on this, and I think it was really good. Yeah, right here. Can you see it, guys? Oh, shoot. Dude, I got to get somebody to, like, moderate. I got to get somebody to, like... I need my Jamie, y'all. If you guys watch Joe Rogan, I need my Jamie who, like, pulls everything up for me. If somebody wants to do it, then reach out. But yeah, so right here, my brother. Will the Antichrist be a Roman or a Muslim debate? Okay, I debated somebody on this. I'm also going to debate somebody on the identity of Mystery Babylon. Okay, because when you deal with this theory, you have two things. You have who's the beast and who's Mystery Babylon. Who is this the system, and then who is the false religion? Okay, that's essentially what I'm going to be doing. What about the theory that the Antichrist comes from Germany? Look at what they were doing in Sweden. They no longer have a cash system in some places. They use chips embedded in their skin. Let me ask you this one simple question. If you believe in this theory, what is the confession about this? The mark of the beast is a confession. You will be confessing against the God of the Bible into a false God. This is why I get so frustrated with love towards those who believe in this theory. Everybody's like, oh, this cashless economy, the global reset. There's not going to be a European man who claims to be God and has everybody worship. It just doesn't make any sense. To me, it doesn't make any sense. Whereas within Islam, it's literally staring within our face. So anyway, that's it for today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope the first 30 minutes of this was at least informational for you guys. Sonia Azam, check out her channel. She's premiering a video, I think, right now. It might still be playing. So click off of my video, go to her video. She's amazing. I love y'all. Consider becoming a supporter on YouTube. I got some new badges if you guys are interested in that. But other than that, love y'all. God bless. And may the peace of our Lord Jesus be with you always.